Thank you for watching News Echoes. My name is Shegun Johnson. You are welcome to this special edition of our presentation of news and analysis. I'm not the only one in the studio. I have with me from faraway Lagos, Nigeria, Bidi Nana. Bidi, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, Dr. Shegu. Thanks for having me once again. Everyone in the studio, good morning. Our viewers all around the world, good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Let's do it.
And in Toronto, Canada, is our man, the great analyst, well known across the globe, Sir George Chukwu. Sir George, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, Dr. Johnson. Good morning, Biddy. And good morning, viewers from around the world. Welcome to our show today.
Last but not the least is Massive Mark in Milan. Mark in Milan, you're welcome to the program.
Morning, Dr. Shego. Good morning, great people. It's good to see everybody again. And I'm representing the Igbo race today.
Chief, we greet you.
Oh, wait. Well, I know that you are from Imo State. Hopefully,
Yes,
Uzodimma will see you and give you commissioner for information or something like that, and tourism. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have serious issues to discuss, including the aftermath of oil subsidy removal. Many have discussed this one, but there are so many things that have come out of it. To start with, the Kwara state government has reduced the number of working days in a week from 5 to 3, so that any civil servant should just choose the 3 days it will work, and you don't even have to work from home because there may not be electricity to charge your phone because your generator may not work. Secondly, the one minister said is going to buy bicycles for federal civil servants so that bicycle lanes will be created in Abuja. They'll be riding bicycles there. Thirdly, many people are not buying fuel for their generators again because it has cost too much, and therefore they rather stay in the darkness and just hope the best for tomorrow. Before I ask Nigerians in diaspora to contribute, I will want to hear from Bidi, who is in Lagos. Bidi, are you buying generator? Are you buying fuel to your generator, or you just trust in the sunlight?
Dr. Shegu, can you hear me? Hello?
Well, very well, loud and clear.
Dr. Shegu, even before the first subsidy in Nigeria, you will understand that we already have what infrastructure problem. How many areas in Lagos have steady light supply? So it becomes an issue. So certainly people have to buy fuel, and getting the fuel now is actually an issue. The fuel in Nigeria is sold for 700 naira per liter, and that is what you can buy it in somewhere like Lagos, Abuja. But when you go somewhere like down east or south, they are buying fuel for 1,000 naira, 1,002 for a liter. And not just that, you have to queue because many filling stations are not even selling it. You have to queue for you to get the fuel. And people are now complaining when you buy the fuel within a short time, it's finished. I told them there's nothing wrong with the fuel, it's still the quantity of what we've been buying. The idea is this: when you buy the fuel, you spend a lot of time on the traffic, so you end up burning down the fuel you have bought expensively. So it's really eating hard on Nigerians. Shegu, it's not easy. Nigerians are dying. And the problem now is this: people are dying silently. There's supposed to be a strike action today, but the NLC is telling us that the courts strike out the strike action. And now it's not today that this kind of thing started. We're having this issue, but the NLC is telling us that they want to teach Nigerian government. They want to teach Nigerian government how to obey court order. That was the excuses they were giving us. Then why they are not starting this strike action today is that they want to teach government how to obey court order. Now I'm looking at NLC teaching federal government who made the law how to bathe cotton. So it is obvious. It's what I we were having a program 2 days ago, and I was telling them that we have a lot of issues in our hand. The government in power is the government who have stopped people from expressing their view. So when LLC called this
Okay,
strike action,
quickly. How has it affected the price of food?
it has affected everything. It has affected everything. I was in the market 2 days ago, and the cabbage you could buy for 400 naira, and they are selling it for 1,000 naira now. Now I asked the aboki man, I said, why is too much? He said, there is a fuel subsidy. I said, what does fuel have to do with cabbage? He said, madam, I enter motor now. I enter motor go, I enter motor come. It goes down to lack of regulation in our society. We don't have regulation, so everybody jump into the bad wagon and get away with it. It has affected
Okay,
everything. The food price has.
we'll come back to you, Sir George in Canada. The organized labor, like BD said, is not going on strike as pre-planned for today, and they're supposed to be organized labor. The NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, Trade Union Congress, and no formal opposition to the government. And we know that in Nigeria there is no formal political party opposition. For instance, PDP, the next biggest party, is asleep on the issue. And so is it going to be just like this, and the Nigerians are just going to be quiet again? Sir George, please help us look into the analysis of our situation.
They say that an object in motion tends to stay in motion. A stagnant object also tends to stay stagnant. And what you're seeing with the Nigerian populace is that they've been stagnated so much that it's like a dream, that is not coming true for them to get out there and do things. Look at the labor people that were crying and shouting and saying, listing out all kinds of items that the government must obey. One meeting, they shut them down. I felt that the leader was not strong enough, that they will manipulate him into saying, okay, we are in emotion, we just got started, so calm down, we'll make sure that everything that you're asking for, we're going to give you. These people came out with absolutely nothing. Zero.
Did you read what was accepted? I mean, there was nothing in it.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm looking at it. I'm like, who is this man called the leader of these people? Where did they get him from? Where's your backbone? You can't even withstand and say, hold on a second. How do we guarantee that all these promises you're making us are going to come? He has zero. He just went in there, came out, worse than what he was before. So these are the things you're seeing with our people. We have become so, like everybody's inside their tents crying. Nobody wants to do anything. And it's getting worse and worse. I know that's the wrong English, but in Nigeria, we have to make it now a good English. It's getting worse and worse to the worstest. Nigerians, wake up. Nigerians, wake up.
It's unbelievable. And what the result is that diasporans will be getting letters now. Please send me money. I have to buy fuel to my generator and that kind of thing. Mazi Mark, what's your take on all of this?
My take is like you all are putting out too. Normally, fuel subsidy should be a thing that should be an advantage to the people. But the way it's coming out, it doesn't seem like so. One problem we have in our governance is implementing policies. The government implement policy in a very terrible way, and destabilize the economy, spoil, render homes, families, and put people in more abject poverty. So this whole plan, like experts are saying, the fuel subsidy should be an advantage. But the way it is, the way it's being put out, it's causing more trouble now. And like BD has given us some real-time situation on ground. We are looking at how
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a specific question. What are
okay.
the palliatives that the Tinubu administration has said they will do? Let us, maybe we should assess their palliatives. Have you heard of any palliative from the government?
Not yet. What we are hearing
I
is
can't
state
believe. I just
palliative.
can't believe. Mm.
Edo State this morning, Governor Godwin, this morning just increased the minimum wage of Edo State workers to 40,000 naira as minimum wage. It is not much of a difference because 40,000 naira compared to the cost of goods and services these same workers will be experiencing might not help them. But this was the palliative for Edo State this morning. This morning, this is breaking news. And you
Uh,
talked
uh,
about some states giving bicycle, some states making some provision. I don't know. Uh, Maybe BD has more state palliative they are planning. Some states, I think it's now a state thing. From the federal, we've not had anything yet. We've not seen anything. But states
but
are
you
now coming
see,
up.
increasing the salary of state workers has to be adequately discussed. It's not just
That's,
I raise the salary. You have to discuss it. What will be the effect on the pricing system? Because if you raise the salary from 30,000 to 40,000, the difference of 10,000 naira, will it be a real difference? Because all prices will go up, and then the real difference will have come to zero. Has the government taken that into consideration, or and did they take into consideration the rate of inflation? If all the parastatals and all the companies raise their own, what effect will it be on the economy of the state? I mean, you just don't wake up and raise salaries. Did they do all
and
these
that's why
analysis?
Dr. Shagida, I think a viewer has written something there related to what you're saying. Stanley Ogugbe says federal government should come up with palliatives to cushion the hard impact of the removal. The marketers should also be patriotic as they should project as they project for their expected profits. So I
Bidi,
think in relate
Sir?
Bidi,
to
thank you, thank
Doc,
you. Bidi, I know you don't work for the government, but if the government should raise salary minimum from 30,000 to 40,000, how will it affect people who don't work for government? Is it not by providing more transport on the road, doing the roads to be accessible to rural areas so that they can bring in food? Is it not by increasing the infrastructure of the country rather than just raise a few salary full stop?
what is the increment of 30,000? You see, we should be getting this thing clear. Do you know that the 30,000 naira minimum wage that was approved like 4 or 5 years ago have not been implemented? It's just the state that has implemented this 30,000 naira. I don't think they are up to 10. It's not been implemented. And now we're talking about Kwara and Edo State, who said that the workers should work only 3 days. Now, the question should be the percentage of Nigerians in government offices. That's what we should look at. Now, you're saying that workers should come to school to work only 3 days in a week. What about teachers? If a teacher do not come to school 5 days in a week, what happens to our society? It will crumble, it will collapse. Now, you remember that a Buhari administration approved the Senate. You remember Buhari administration, they approved the Senate for $80 million palliative loan. Now, the situation Nigeria
800,
are in,
800
it's
million. Mm.
yeah, 800 million, yeah, dollar palliative loan. Now, the situation Nigeria is in now is not palliative situation. The situation we are in now is the situation where things need to work, infrastructure need to work. Our refinery, we have 4 refineries that are not working, need to be put in order, even if it's one. Do you understand? Food supply needs to be in access. Now, let me give you an example. You said they've increased 10,000 naira. Now, you added 10,000 naira to someone's salary. A bag of rice in Nigeria is 50,000 naira. You get it cheaper, you get it 47,000 naira. What is that 10,000 naira going to do? Transportation alone, 10,000 naira will not do for 10,000 for transport in a week. So it's not about increase, it's about making things work. Enough food, enough infrastructure, things working. It's not just about increasing. It's not about telling people don't come to work 2 days, 3 days. If everybody should decide not to come to work, I'll just give you an example. Doctors and teachers, what do you think will happen to our economy? I think Nigerian government should sit down. They know what to do. The only thing is that they don't want to do it. That is what me I think.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bidi. Let me seize the opportunity to welcome Dr. Godwin Ibe from Moscow. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Thank you, my fellow panelists. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
You
you
are.
are. Sir George, my question to you. When Jonathan chose many years ago to remove the oil subsidy, all the middle class in Lagos and Abuja, they rose up, occupied Nigeria, Tunde Bakare, Wale Soyinka, Femi Falana, all the Kutis, and hundreds of thousands, they stopped the place. Since the Buhari regime that took over from Jonathan, all the middle class fizzled out. Were they scared? Was it because they would not listen to them? Now, that middle class, those who rose up and said, no, Jonathan should not remove it. Okonjo-Iweala was the Minister of Finance. And all these people, they did a good work. They did homework. Palliative issues were ready. In fact, they were in position. They were called Sure P, if you remember very well. Now, where are those people? Because, Sir George, I believe that if there is a formidable opposition, the government will back down. Today, the organized labor has become disorganized and disoriented. Where is the opposition in the Nigerian democracy?
Well, a nation in chaos is what I can call Nigeria. And it's been in chaos. You know, this subsidy started in the 70s with Olusegun Obasanjo when he was a military ruler. And our full consumption have actually increased to 70 million liters per day. So you can imagine the number of people being affected. Food prices, hotels, restaurants, everyday people that are just moving around. If you're not able, if you're only able to get 20,000 before and survive 5 years ago, but today you cannot. So these are the things that you're seeing. But the problem we have is you have a group of people that are trying to answer the questions, but they don't know what the questions are. So you come out, you make a very, just careless statement without thinking, what is he going to do to, in my position right now, if I say yes, or if I say no, or if I say maybe, how would that affect people? But you just throw it out there and go inside and don't say anything anymore. If this is an active leader, you will come out and address the nation. Tell the nation, listen, and yes, I know that I made a statement and it's affecting everything right now. We are working on it. We're working on long-term and short-term goals in order to alleviate the pain that you people are feeling. Who is doing that for them? Nobody. Where is the leader that we elected, that they selected? Nowhere to be found. These are things that you will see. You go to some of these developed countries on a daily basis. That is what you call news brief. Even if the president does not come out to say something, the press secretary will come and say something. They will announce, the heart of the president, what has been discussed. So people are aware of what is going on, both the internal and external decisions that are being made and intended decisions. This is how we govern. Not this kangaroo shamacracy they call it in Nigeria. It's nonsense. It's time for people to wake up. When are
Thank
you
you.
going to wake up, Nigeria? When are you going to wake up? What are we doing? They're dying daily and nothing is happening. If they place a demand in that nation, shut it down for 1 week, I guarantee you their changes will come. But
That's true.
we're not looking for trouble. We just want civil protest. Tell your pain. Let them know. Let the world know. If you're sitting at home doing nothing, nobody will care about what you're going through inside your house. That's it.
Yeah, Dr. Ibe, you heard Sir George. There is no institutional opposition, and that is not good for democracy. Since Tinubu got there and made the mistake of saying all subsidy is gone forever, and all the places they've gone up and down, upside down, nobody of substance. And it's not just one person when it comes to democracy. We saw people in Arise television, channels television, one person, one individual, but no collective action. So the government is laughing in this place. And what's your first take on that? Secondly, still to you, is that in nearby Republic of Benin, they have their oil price has jumped from 350 per liter to 800 per liter. Do you know that there was a civil protest saying Tinubu must go in the Republic of Benin? Over to you, Dr. Ebe.
Yes, I understand the pain that this cancellation of fuel subsidy has caused, and also the lack of preparation for the effects of the cancellation of the fuel subsidy. But nevertheless, the cancellation of the fuel subsidy is the right step in the right direction. I liken the fuel subsidy to someone having a plot of land, and you are giving 5 tubers of yam every month to take care of your hunger. It might save you for a while. It might prevent you from dying. But if you have a little bit of ambition, you should know that you own the plot of land, and with due hard work and due diligence, you should be able to make much more than that 5 tubers of yam. That's it. And also, you should understand that if that 5 tubers of yam is taken away from you because you refuse to take that 5 tubers of yam and request for your plot of land, it will come with temporary hunger because you need to sow and then you need to reap. Now, fuel subsidy, all political parties, all were supporting the cancellation of fuel subsidy. Anybody who now raises up his head and says something, don't want the fuel subsidy cancelled, is just plain hypocrite. Everybody supported it. What we are speaking about is not the cancellation, but the safety nets that were put in place while the cancellation took place. Now, we understand that the lots of problem. The structure of the fuel subsidy itself created a cesspool of corruption, both based on the swap deal. I've done my own personal investigation. I released some videos on my channel for those who want to watch, trying to calculate what, if everything was working, what should be the true price of the fuel at the pump. And I came to around 362, while the landing price, which was publicly circulated, was around 315. So we're within the margin of error. Now, the reseller price was at about 113 naira per liter. That means the first subsidized 202 liter. The first subsidy was worth 202 naira per liter. This means that first subsidy was taking care of mostly the profit of the marketers and the filling station. Now, even those marketers that import the fuel, they still take it outside to the Benin Republic. For example, you mentioned Cameroon, Togo. I have seen it with my eye, Korokoro. If I haven't seen it, I'll say I was in Togo, I was in Benin Republic. I've seen it with my eyes. They go there and they sell this subsidized fuel because they will sell it at that 800 and make much more money. And there will be no so much protest. Because they understand that they're not an oil-producing nation as in the capacity of Nigeria. So the way the first of it was set up, it created room for corruption. Of course, it needs to go, but what we need to be talking about is the failure of the safety nets to take care of the extremely poor. We already understand that 40% of the population is unemployed, is struggling to put food on the table. So there should have been other ways. And by the way, other people, a lot of people like to talk about other countries that are practicing a form of subsidy. Even Russia practice some form of subsidy. But you should understand that subsidy should go directly into factors of production. It should go into factors of production. So if it's going into refineries for domestic production of advanced oil products for local consumption, and also the excess re-exported, then that would have been a judicial use of fuel subsidy. Moreover, there are other ways it can be channeled into. For example, it can be channeled into, for example, education. Why are people having low salary? Not They cannot pay for the expensive fuel. It's because they have low salary, low disposable income. Why do they have low disposable income? Low education. They cannot demand for high wages, and also they are low industrialization. So a lot of graduates are unemployed because they simply cannot use their knowledge and their expertise, even diplomas in production, domestic production for the economy. So they become unemployed. So we should have to tackle what causes low disposable income and how can we channel our revenue into factors of production. You have to remember that 40% of the population use only 3% of the subsidized fuel. So the remaining 90% was not used by most of the public, but rather used by the rich, and used it stimulated overconsumption. You know what you call overconsumption? When fuel is subsidized beyond the particular rate, it leads to the inefficient utilization of the fuel itself. People burning fuel the way they like, the people who are opportune to have that fuel at that 113 naira per liter, they just use it the way they like, because it leads to overconsumption, waste, instead of gaining more revenue for the economy for development. So yeah, of
Okay.
course there are criticism, but yeah, we have to look at it holistically.
Thank you very much for holistic assessment. Mazi Mark, um, we recall that Mrs. Remi Tinubu, on the day of inauguration Christian service, said God has blessed the Tinubu family and that the Nigerian wealth will be commonwealth for Nigerians. Now, people have said that was a good statement, but right now, all the Tinubu family are not paying for the new price because free petrol will be given to the presidential fleet. All ministers will be using free petrol. Senators will be using free petrol, and all the people who in position, political positions, will be having their free petrol, subsidy or no subsidy. And only the non-workers at the political class, only the non-political class will be paying the big amount of money. How do we reconcile these two? This commonwealth is not for everybody, is it?
It's not for everybody. You're all in you're all abroad outside Nigeria. You know that if this were to be in Europe or any part of the world, the government workers, even the prime minister, the president, whoever he may be, they might do something this period. They will begin to ride bicycle. They will ride bicycle, they will ride skateboard to their offices so that they can make the masses see that they are with them. If it were here in the West, I know it happens in Italy, in Germany, Spain. They do this when there is a situation like this.
The United
But we
States,
are
the United States president pays for his own food in the White House,
okay. So, but
and
this is
and the
what we
budget
suffer.
for food for the presidency is 331 million per for just the president alone. Almost
Yeah,
one. Our president is spending almost 1 million naira to feed in
and
one day.
on top of this fuel thing, big brother, these guys, the leaders in Nigeria will be going with their convoy. In fact, they will increase the convoy. They will increase this unnecessary wastage in governance. Now we are hearing of additional 20 appointees. These additional 20 appointees will have their own convoy, 10, 20 cars going on errands that have no profit, no good to the life of the people.
And they will
So,
distribute bicycle. They will distribute bicycle to the lower civil servants.
uh-huh.
Well, that is
And they can,
nobody in Nigeria. No, the masses are not thinking in Nigeria that
that's
those who have taken over the affairs of government, they are not going to pay a penny. But Let us look at it holistically. The all subsidy removal is good, but some people are not paying for fuel. Those who are removing the subsidy are not buying fuel. So anyway, we'll go on a short break. When we return, the Nigeria Air will no longer be on the in the air. Don't go away. We'll be talking about that.
Arise, oh, come. Arise, oh. Arise, oh, compatriots, Nigeria's call, obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
This country has some of the most extraordinary culinary diversity in the world. I'm talking about Nigeria. This first dish is amala abula, made popular by the Yoruba people in southwest Nigeria. It starts with amala made from dried yam and then is covered in a variety of soups. Next we have ofe and sala, a white soup that is synonymous with the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. It goes best with fufu, or akbo as the Igbos call it. Next we have suya, the most well-known food of the Hausa and Fulani people of northern Nigeria. Meat is covered in a peanut-based powder called yaji and cooked over an open fire. This is banga and starch, a classic of the Urhobo people of Delta State. Lastly, we have onunu, a plantain-based swallow of the Izon people in South Nigeria. We are eating it with fisherman soup, popular throughout this whole region. And of course, we don't forget the jollof rice. This is popular everywhere in Nigeria. I think what makes Nigeria so great is the diversity of all the different people coming together. These beautiful ethnic groups living side by side, sharing culture and cuisine is what makes Nigeria such an amazing country to visit. Nigerians should be so proud of that cultural heritage, as there is so much more that unites than divides them.
Thanks for staying with us. It's still News Echoes. And we've had so many stories about the Nigeria Air. It was the Obasanjo regime that scrapped the Nigeria Airways because the elephant could no longer fly. And many have wondered, how could the elephant be used as a symbol of a flying industry? Well, the Buhari administration decided to bring back the Nigeria Airways and tagged it the Nigerian Air. We never saw anything like that before, and so many stories have come out just in the dying days of the Buhari administration. Two aeroplanes covered with the Nigerian flag came out to say, "Oh, finally, the Nigeria Air is here." But stories came out that they were from Ethiopia, that they were Ethiopia Airlines just covered with the Nigerian flag. Since then, these two planes have disappeared. Let me leave this story to Mazi Mark. Mark, tell us more.
Brother. But before we go on this story, there is a comment from a viewer here, Sunday Chukuma. He says the palliative is another loophole for fraud. They should use the whatever money they have to bring back refineries, reduce tax to Nigerian workers. I think that was what Dr. Godwin was also aligning with.
Yeah, that's a good comment, except that anything could be a fraud in Nigeria. Anything.
In
Yes.
a perfect world, all these suggestions are fantastic and wonderful. But not in our own country with the way things have been going for the past 50, 60 years. So I don't know, you know.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Dr. Shegun, thank you very much, Sunday Chukuma. Dr. Shegun, what you're bringing up is a serious thing. Yesterday, the Senate committee said the Nigerian air is shrouded in secrecy. It's a fraud. The launch was a fraud. And the managing director of the Nigerian air, one Dayo Olumide, disclosed that the plane that landed that day, 25th of May, the day they were celebrating that launch. He said that plane was a chartered plane from Ethiopia, from Air Ethiopia. The Olumide also said that the launch was not a launch, but a ceremony to pre to the main launch. And we begin to wonder, what are they trying to say? Anyway, the Minister of Aviation, the former Minister of Aviation, Hidi Sariki, is under fire at this moment because he has also come to reveal that the national carrier was a chartered flight. It wasn't really our plane. The unveiling of the Nigerian airplane everything is a sham. It's a fraud. That's just what it is, Dr. Shegun. It's a fraud. They didn't. We don't have a plane. We went and borrowed a plane and made a ceremony to look like we were launching our own flight. So this is shame on Nigeria. In fact, the ceremony was so big. You had big events that day, speeches from different corners. In fact, guests were invited, even some European guests were invited. And now it is been proven that all of this was a sham, it was fraud, nothing was real. We don't have a plane. We only chartered that one plane from Ethiopia. Thank you, Dr. Shegun.
Yeah, Sir George, you've had it all. Is this a monumental fraud from the government of a whole country like Nigeria?
I just hope that Babangida regime is not coming back, where they're encouraging fraud from inside the Aso Rock and all those type of things, because this is really a shameful move. The same way they went around from one state to another, just the train line that they opened up, inaugurated. What happened to it? Where is it today? Nothing. We have learned how to look good in the surface, but they're full of dead men's bones inside. That's exactly what you're seeing. Nigerians have become the mugus of the government, or the magas. I don't know how they say that, mugus or magas, because this is exactly how can a government, go and charter a plane and then put our logo on it and come here and spend our money to do, celebration that we have started our airline. Come to find out that it was, you spend money to go and charter the plane, you have to pay the pilot to bring it in, and the number of days that you've chartered it for, who know how many millions of naira that is. It's crazy. What are we doing in this country, for goodness sake? I mean, it's beyond comprehension that, a sitting government can allow such a thing to happen, and it is all over the place, and nobody is saying anything. I just say, oh, come on, man.
Dr.
Shagun,
yeah.
The funny thing again, sorry to cut you, the funny thing again is the Senate that is raising the alarm now, that is blowing the whistle now. Many of them were at that event on that day. They snapped pictures, they did the cake cutting and all those things. And some of them knew at that point in time that everything was a fraud. Can you imagine? Now, the amount of money they've used to design that Ethiopian plane and write the Nigerian Air on it, and so many other things they've used, is enough to pay to do a lot of things. I mean,
Mark, they're
yes,
going to
sir.
remove it. They will eventually pay again to remove that thing they
Those
used to
paints.
cover it.
That's true.
Can you just imagine what will look like to the Ethiopians? The image. Can you imagine what will
But
look
is
like to
is,
this
is that not Yahoo? That is Yahoo in action. That's a Yahoo, what we call
That's
Yahoo in
it.
action. Let's
That's
forward.
it.
That's
Bidi,
419.
Bidi, tell us, what does it take? How much does it cost to fly from Lagos to Abuja and back?
You're muted.
Yes, go ahead with it.
Okay, to fly from
Yes.
Lagos and Abuja, you have to have your 160,000 naira. That was as of last week. Now, since they made this thing, I don't know now that you have to have, because you have to have 260,000. Sorry, I say 260,000, because one way is 130, 140. And that, so you have to have
Wow.
260,000 naira, yeah, to fly. Now, back to Nigerian Air. As I just said, how do we look in the face of Ethiopia? That is why we pride ourselves as a giant of Africa. What is giant about us? This government of Buhari, that a lot of people said is Mr. Integrity. I'm happy how it has come to unveil itself to Nigerians. I know so many of us who had issues with a lot of Nigerians who projected him as Mr. Integrity. This Ethiopia airline they paid for that logo, that thing you see. The money they paid was 139 billion naira. That was what he was paid to do that fraud thing. 139 billion naira. That was what Buhari
Million
government,
or billion?
billion dashed away to do that fraud they did. Do you
No.
understand?
It
And
cannot be.
I
It
don't
cannot be. How can you pay 130 something billion just to pay?
check it online. That's what they paid to do those things they did.
Are you
I
sure,
know
Billy? Because this can be another imaginative speculation that
it's
people
not
are
an
doing.
imaginative speculation. It's not anything imaginative. Check it online. Check it online.
Because it's online doesn't mean it's correct.
Yeah, that was
People
what
can
they
put it
paid.
there.
It's not, people did not put it. That was what the federal government spent in that aggrandizement they did for Nigerians. 139 billion naira.
But
That's
the
what they paid.
morality of it is that should there be any government with such an impunity to be lying to his own people, who are
See,
those benefiting from it?
they are the one benefit from it.
Can I?
It shows you one thing, that this government of Buhari had nothing to offer Nigerians, but they now leverage on lies and deceit. And it's so unfortunate that Nigerian youths have given into this psychopathy that is ruling Nigerian youth. We are where we are today because the young Nigerians in the 60s, in the 70s, were able to stand for what they believe in. They stood and fight for their rights. But Nigerian youth today have given up hope. They don't want, they are good, they are okay in their comfort zone. They don't want to fight for what they believe in. They don't even believe in anything. And that is what is destroying Nigerian government. And if we can allow this thing to go on for 8 years, do you know what 8 years is? If you get married by 8 years, you will have a child that is 7 years old who has entered secondary school, or primary school, and that is what Buhari government came with APC and wasted Nigerian life within 8 years. And we're still in the same government because they only take pilots. It's still APC that is still ruling us. What we did was just pilots that we changed. Still the
Dr.
same
Ibe,
government, the same car, the same everything.
thank you, Bidi. If someone in China should be found guilty of lying to the nation, such person will be killed immediately. He will face his death. If he's in Japan, he will commit suicide before they get to him. In Russia, he will be jailed for life. How do we get away with such impunity in Nigeria?
Look, all we are doing here now is just taking our eyes off the ball. That's just what we are doing. It's ministry, the Ministry of Aviation, it's like Ministry of Intrigue, like intrigue. We are focused on the intrigue, and we have not talked about a much bigger problem. The much bigger problem is that since 1960, since we gained independence from Britain, 62 airlines have gone bankrupt. Only 10 are operating scheduled flights. Our country is a graveyard for airlines. Like, they come in and they die. It's a mass graveyard for airlines. And what are the reasons for this? Number one, airlines buy spare parts in dollars, but they sell tickets in naira. Number two, what is the work time of the airline? They work from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they pack the airline in the night. Who does that? Who does that? Which country does that? Number three, their aviation fuel is not as subsidized like the fuel we buy at the filling station. They buy it at about 800 naira per liter. This would have been good use of, control. At least there are not so many people that can, misuse it. What about the supporting infrastructure? There's a place for other types of transport system. Airline does not exist on own. It should complement other things like road transport, rail transport, and security to and from the airport. Now, what is the government doing? The loans the airlines are taking are simply too expensive. As of now, it's about 22 to 35% interest rate, and maximum 5 years. In best international practices, best practices, it should be around 1.5% to 3%, and it should be like 25-year loan, not 5 years loan in Nigeria. But of course, no one can predict too far into the future when you talk about Nigeria. So you see that Nigeria is a mass graveyard for any airline operating under the special grace of God. Because the government should do much more. For example, give them tax holidays, cancel landing fees, this ticket sales charge, maybe reduce it. Maybe the government can sponsor ticket sales charge tax, and let the airlines be, so that they can.
So is that the reason for the Nigerian Minister of
Aviation?
It's to distract us. It's to distract us from a much bigger problem. It's like when you had ASU strike. What did the government do? Try to create an alternative for ASU, isn't it so? Take our eyes off the bigger problem. The domestic airlines are there.
I want you to address the immorality.
I have a question. Please, I have a question for Dr. Ibe. I have a question for Dr.
I want him to answer this one. Then
please.
you will
Okay.
How about the immorality of a minister saying that there is a Nigerian air when it is a blatant lie, Dr. Ibe?
Yeah, it is a lie. They are liars. Did he lie on that oath? It's one thing. Did he lie or not on that oath? It's another thing. Politicians lie all the time. He should be held accountable by the voters. The voters should vote him out if they are serious and they care. Voters care about accountability, not about feeding themselves.
The immorality of his lie. Can you condemn?
Of course, it's condemnable. It's abhorrent. It's clear that it's simply propaganda to take our eyes off a much bigger problem. And of course, it's done in the at the height of the political, scenery change of handing over.
Lying.
Of course, I strongly condemn it, and I said it has dual purpose.
BD has a question for you.
I think you've partly asked him what I wanted to ask him, because it's totally he said they are taking our my eyes off the bigger picture. Yeah, the bigger picture has been there, and it's not a thing that's today.
Let me just ask a question. Dr. Ibe condemns the lie. The whole Nigeria condemns Mahmoud Gowon's lies, Buhari's lies, and other politicians' lies. And then what? Because I asked a question several months ago here. Is it that lying is allowed in the Muslim religion in Nigeria, but it's not allowed elsewhere? Is what I want to know. How can these people come out openly and
Sir George, let me add to that or participate. The Islamic states have moved in development in quantum. Look at the UAE, look at Dubai, specifically Abu Dhabi, Qatar. These are Islamic states. Their development has been astronomical and phenomenal. What is wrong with our Islamic state of Nigeria reducing, holding up to Almajiris and the rest?
They invented Islamic
Let me tell
banking
you-
as well.
Education. They don't want
Let me
education.
tell you
number
what
one.
is wrong with.
And number
let me
two,
tell you what's
hold on, Biddy. Number one is their interest is anything that is Western or European. They have, a hatred for it, and all these things they're showing openly is nothing. They don't like it. They don't want education, so they are still in that primitive state where they were before. Right now, their goal is to marginalize other tribes in Nigeria, not for the
Dubai, UAE, all of them, they embrace technology, they embrace everything. So why not the Nigerian Islamic Society?
That's a major question. That's what we're saying. They don't want
very-
it. They really don't want it. Deep down inside of them, they do not want it. The way they're living, the way it was in 80 years ago is fine by most of them.
Well, for those of us who study political science, that is called feudalism. When there is a few lords and they don't want the masses to rise up, if they are sent to school, they will challenge their position. So feudalism continues to reign. It only means that the Islamic religion itself is not the issue, because we can show state upon state upon state in the Middle East that have developed and not having much resources like us. So in Nigeria, they practice their Islamic religion along with feudalism, which has been there even before colonialism. So I'm just trying to demarcate that the Islamic religion is not the problem. Is the feudalism of Nigerian northern leaders that has led to the oppression of the masses, creation of the Almajiris, removal of Western European called Boko Haram, and the rest. So I'm trying to just say that there are Islamic states that are developed even better than European countries, and so we have a problem in Nigeria.
That's correct.
I would argue even more. Okay, continue.
That's very correct. I'm with you on this.
Wait a minute. Remember that feudalism is what brought about, the Europeans coming in and wanting to hand over the government to them, because they will have less opposition whenever decisions are made. That is one of the major problems they have with, the Republicans of the Igbo land in their way of dealing, because it will be difficult to make decisions and sustain it. So feudalism makes governing very easy. Bring a bag of rice and cook it, and the whole village will come and eat from one plate and go home smiling. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. That's the problem. Well, Mazi Mark, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I was going to say your statement was perfectly well said. There's a problem with the Nigerian religion, Muslim religion, because it is not about that religion. It is that we have not benefited from it. There are more Islamic countries that are well endowed, blessed, prospering. Going very, very fine, enjoying the citizenries, enjoying life, having the best of everything. Here in Milan, I'm in the center of the city called Milan, and this is where fashion ends. Milan, Paris are the two major fashion zones. Now, the customers, the clients that visit these two centers are Muslims. The people of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and all these countries, they come here and they spend real hard cash to get these exotic items. So somehow there's a problem with our own, with our leaders that are Muslims, are not thinking in that way of, progressive thoughts.
Yeah, progressive prosperity. That's the problem.
Right.
They are not thinking that way. But let me, Dr. Bidi.
Can Bidi speak? Yeah.
Please, see, I disagree to this feudalism thing. Yeah, it might be working in Nigeria or it has been working. But lately, I used to think it's our problem. But lately, I've come to realize that the major problem in Nigeria is bigotry. Let me give you an example. The major
Mm.
problem in Nigeria is bigotry and it's destroying us and it has destroyed us. And our politicians have understood this thing very well and they are pushing it heavily. They are pushing it with everything in them to us and we have accepted it. Let me give you an example. uh, Strike action is supposed to start today. Me, I'm one of those people who believe in removal of subsidy. I want subsidy to be removed, but there are things to put in place. You don't just stand up and say, I remove subsidy and they start implementing immediately. It should be removed, but there are things that should be put in place. Now, let me tell you, if you come to Nigeria, when it comes to strike actions, people from the South are the people who move it in Nigeria. If you want anything to work in Nigeria, strike action starts from Lagos. Once Lagos queue into any strike or anything, government will listen to. Now look at what is happening. They said the NLC have called off the action because of what? The same bigotry. A lot of names you mentioned, um, a lot of name Tunde Bakari, Wole Soyinka, all those people who march on the streets, even Buhari during the Jonathan era, are the people who are not saying, "Oh, don't go for strike, don't speak." They are not silencing Nigerians. It's all boiled down to bigotry, and it's destroying us. Not until Nigerians now understand who they are and what they stand and what they can do. Forget it, we'll remain the way we are. I think our problem is more of bigotry than the feudalism.
Thank you for that angle. Dr. Ibe.
Yeah, she's spoken well, and I knew she had something important to say. And yeah, but why? It's not one or the other; it's both. Why? What? Who has said you don't have both? We have both feudalism problem and bigotry problem. But I'll argue, yeah, I'll argue that you know, it's more or less religion, not just being the opium of the people, like Marx says. It's a tool for the leaders. So the leaders, political leaders, feed into this default setting of bigotry and use it to control the masses and divide the masses, especially when some political policies are made that are not in the favor of the general masses. And then that's when this bigotry comes in. But you see, when something is universally acceptable, bigotry isn't so important, because then you can sell any idea or any leader based on his unique selling point or value that he or she has to offer. But when that is missing, then the bigotry part becomes more and more important. And also, when somebody is well to do and has work, high disposable income, is able to take care of the demons in his, yeah, when I mean demons, I mean the difficulties of life, then religion also less becomes an opium. You stop having religious churches in almost every street, while the crime rate and the insecurity is just as directly proportional to that amount of I'm not saying only churches, mosque and all religious centers, directly proportional to the amount of religious centers which you have in an area. So we have to see it as not just as both existing, and most importantly being a tool of politics.
Okay. We just have to come to an end. Sir George, I want to ask you the last question. You have only 20 seconds to answer it. The FCT 25% saga was brought to an end by a Supreme Court decision. What's your take in 20 seconds?
Well, that's something that I expected for them to find some technical loophole to stop everything. This is what Nigeria is all about. It's very sad, it's very, very unfortunate that a clear evidence is now, they go dig up and find ways of meandering to stop
And they
everything.
did not even discuss the real issue. They just
So
threw
that's
it out.
exactly what we are facing in Nigeria. Like
Can
I
we
said,
do a
if
GoFundMe
the
for
three
that
arms
lawyer?
of government cannot function effectively, the people need to get up, get out on the streets, and do what they got to
Practical
do
issue.
to
How
change.
about GoFundMe so that lawyer will be able to pay the 20 million naira? That the people behind him can say, let's do a GoFundMe. Is it possible we start it from
So
here?
what did they? Because I haven't read
Yes,
up
we
on.
can. Yes, we can.
No, by the way,
Yes,
by the way,
we set up a GoFundMe and we raised up 20 million naira for.
why,
So,
why can't that 20 million
if
naira
can
be
get us
challenged?
the contact
Why
of
are
the
you going to
lawyer.
pay it? Hold on, Massive Mark. Why would he pay that 20 million naira? And
They said it was a frivolous action.
Yeah.
but what was a frivolous action? Challenge it.
Yeah,
Let
but
the
it's the
people
Supreme
challenge
Court.
it.
It's the Supreme Court.
Supreme
No,
Court.
let the people who
You cannot challenge the Supreme Court.
excuse you.
Yes.
The people can. The people can.
How? Where?
How? Which
On
legal?
the streets. On the streets. Shut down the place. They can. What are you people
Not
saying?
in Nigeria. Not in Nigeria, Judge. Thank you very much. Okay.
I don't believe
Bidi,
this.
can we set up a GoFundMe? Maybe we discuss this one after the program. This is how far we can
Of
go
course,
today.
we can do it. But see,
I
I
don't
agree
believe
with what
that.
Sir George is saying. We have gotten to the stage where the government don't obey the rule of law. It has gotten to a stage where Nigerians should stop obeying the rule of law. We go to streets and we do it our own way. Even we can come physical. Honestly,
Supreme what? Supreme corrupt.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just so sorry. We have to bring it to an end. I know this discussion will continue on Friday. Please don't miss the Friday edition. We are going to bring these cases. This is how far we can go today. It's my duty to thank
Let's say
everyone
to
in your different locations.
our viewer Sunday Chukuma. He has been here and he has been commenting.
Yeah.
We appreciate
God bless
him.
you all, Sunday Chukuma, and all the other members. God bless you all. We'll see you on Friday.
Thank you.